Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Grow Your Occupancy podcast. I'm Julie Podewitz, founder and CEO. And today, continuing the conversation with Maureen Longoria, president, co-founder of LivNow Relocation. I think you're the CEO, right, Maureen? Part two of our conversation of re-engineering the move-in process. So welcome back, Maureen.
Thanks, Julie, and thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about this a little bit more with you.
Well, we left off on talking about stress, and you've spoke a couple times since we last talked. You've presented to a couple of teams that I lead. I really appreciate that. Something that sticks with me, first of all, is your passion for what you do, but about the three biggest stressors that we experience in life.
Death, divorce, and relocation. And I think people forget that relocation is the third biggest stressor in somebody's life. And what we were talking about last time, Julie, and what we're trying to create awareness about is what that looks like for a senior moving into a senior living community. Relocation is hard enough when you're middle-aged and you're moving for a career and you're excited and the company gives you all sorts of support, right? They give you a relocation management company to manage the whole process for you. They pay for the benefits. Now imagine you're a senior. It's your last move, most likely, into a community. You've got a lifetime of treasures and memories, usually in that home, and you're older. You're not as able to get up in the attic and start going through things and clearing things out and getting into the garage and all of that. And you might even have 2 months before you have to move in and get this all done in that time frame. So when we say death, divorce, and relocation, relocation being the third greatest stressor in your life, now imagine relocation for a senior moving into a senior living community. What that
who's probably gone through, as we know, right? We know, Maureen, that most of our prospects reach out to us because of a traumatic experience, or an illness or loss of some kind. It can be sudden, it can be gradual, and they're already going through, high levels of stress, right? High levels of, emotional turmoil.
Yes. So many of them maybe just lost a spouse in the past couple of years, and they were just trying to get over that, and now they have to take those memories and those pictures. It's a lot. It's a lot to ask of them. And they might know that moving into that community is really the best thing for them. And they might be excited about it until they go home and they're overwhelmed by this. At that point, I was talking to a partner of ours, and she received a phone call on a Friday night at 8 o'clock from a senior who had been given her name from the community. And she said, and she picked up the phone, luckily, Friday night at 8 o'clock, and she said, I signed my contract with the community today, and I feel like somebody threw me in the river and I don't know how to swim, and it's going downstream, man. And so the partner of ours had said, I was so glad I picked up the phone to be a support for her at that point in time, because she was just already feeling so overwhelmed by the next steps in front of her.
So that's what your company does then?
So
specifically?
Yes, LivNow Relocation is responsible for managing the relocation process for seniors as they move into senior living communities. So what we do is we vet, train, and certify local realtors, professional organizers, movers around that community to put together a relocation team for that community. And so when they have a resident that's going to move in, LivNow, our dedicated move manager, reaches out to them and manages that process for them, just like you would in a corporate relocation. If you were moving with your company from California to Florida, they would provide you with this sort of support. And so we're responsible then for managing that entire process, making sure that those providers are doing a great job. But most importantly, we're making sure that the best providers are in place for that senior to take all that stress. Now they don't have to try to figure out what realtor should I be listing my home with, who's the best one in the market, what movers are safe to move with, which ones are following proper COVID protocols. We've taken care of all of that for them, so they don't have to worry about that. And then they've got their Live Now Move manager who is there to advocate for them and educate them, letting them know what's going on in the market and how to manage through that move timeline, and helping them put one in place, making it as easy as possible for them.
You know, from sitting in as a sales director, you know, or director of sales and marketing in the community, anyone listening to this knows we're in a very competitive marketplace, and people are moving. You know, we're getting out from the shadow of COVID. The move-ins are, a lot of us were moving in very, very safely and carefully during COVID, but you know, occupancy was certainly a challenge among other things. But the move-ins are happening now, right?
Mhm.
The kind of the bottleneck is straightening out, and it's a very competitive marketplace, and we need to provide services and provide support and have these things that you're talking about in our sales toolbox, right? So it's good for listeners to know what's available. I didn't know that such a thing was even available. I mean, you know, we talk about when we're helping our prospects or helping families, you know, we want to provide, we want to be helpful. We want to give, you know, referrals or names or services, and maybe it's a moving company or it's a downsizing, and I don't like that word. I don't think we should use it anymore, but it's you know, somebody who can maybe help with, you know, selling things. And but we're talking about one person who's coordinating all that. So there's a sales director, because I'm responsible for taking another check, right?
Right.
And it sounds heartless, but look, that's what they're paying me to do is you know, revenue. So I'm the front end, I'm the front door, right? And I'm doing all of the things and taking all the time that it takes to get to that yes. But if we just forget and we do our job, we'll just turn around and go back to the drawing board, if you will, and get another one. What's happening to the person that said yes to us, right? And it's not to say we completely forget them, because a lot of time, you know, we're spending a lot of time in that zone, you know, in that area or in the arena, but not what they need, because we have to turn around and do our job. So it's great to know what's available. And, I was just curious,
right?
What's that?
That is the conundrum. You know, you want your salespeople to move on to the next one, but on the other hand, that senior needs support. They've built a relationship with that sales counselor. So who's the first person they're going to call? And then the sales counselor has realtors and professional organizers and movers stopping by and dropping off flyers and stuff. How do they know which ones are the ones they should be recommending? How do they know what markets they cover? How do they know that they're going to provide top-notch service? Are they vetting these suppliers? Are they surveying after the suppliers provide that service to make sure they're doing a good job? You know, do you want them taking the time to vet suppliers and survey and things like this, right? That is the conundrum. You want the salespeople to stay focused on sales, but on the other hand, if you don't make sure that that move goes smoothly, when that senior arrives at your community, one, they might not arrive. That sale might get stopped in its tracks if somebody isn't there to make sure it goes smoothly. But second of all, if they do arrive and it was really stressful for them, are they having doubts? Are they coming in with doubts? I had a marketing, our website guy said to me one time, and I thought this was absolutely brilliant. He said, you know what, there's a reason there's a warm-up band at a concert. It's because everybody is coming from somewhere, and they're afraid if when they show up, they came in traffic or had a bad day at work, then they see the concert, it's going to affect their viewpoint of the concert. So there's always a warm-up band to kind of get them to relax, settle in, you know what I mean? Well, if they wind up at the community then, and they were really stressed getting there, it was really emotional for them. What does that look like for the community? And I've often heard people say the first 90 days somebody moves in are your best referrals and your least expensive referrals, right? Because you just have the senior recommending the community to their friends. But if they arrive stressed out, is that happening?
Well,
instead of-
and conversely, it's the time where we lose most people is in the first 90 days where move outs happen, a death aside, it is in that first 90 days. So you are the warm up band and you're the warm up band of our the move-ins, right? For senior living.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
I like
And,
that.
you know, it's not even just coordinating all that effort, it's also somebody that will listen to them, right? As they go through this process, they need to be,
Yeah.
we talked about that last podcast, but they do need somebody, not just organizing the process, right? But somebody that listens to them with empathy, but continues to move them forward with action, right? In a positive way. So listen with empathy. They need to know that they've been seen and heard, and then continue to move them forward. And I think through that process, they're working through the emotional and mental aspects of this, and then
Right.
working them through the actual physical aspect of it. And then they arrive in a much better place than if they had to continue to stuff those feelings down and just try to push on.
You mentioned as sales director, vetting people and trying to find, all these services. And while we really do want to be of service to our customers, that is not where we need to spend our time or should be spending our time. So partnering with professionals who are experts in their field, right? And it's all relationships, right? It's relationship driven. I'm sure that in your business, you're building relationships with the companies and your clients, so they trust you. It's the referrals are everything in business, and we're in such a important business that when we expect referrals when we're doing our outreach, and we really our business is propelled on referrals. But that's, giving a referral is a big deal. And it's, takes a lot of trust, and we're referring not like a great restaurant for a meal. It's really someone's life, and someone's well-being, which is huge.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, if that doesn't go well, that referral, do we even know it didn't go well? Do we even know that's what stopped the move? You know what I mean? That's where you really also need trustworthy referrals, but also somebody to make sure it is going smoothly, right? At that point in time during the process. So,
Yeah.
and the sales director really, that's not how they were trained. We bring over 25 years of corporate relocation experience. We can see a problem coming a mile away, so, the senior sales consultant really needs to stay focused on what they're trained to do.
What are problems when you say you can see a problem a mile away? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our requirements is that all the providers that we work together with, the certified supplier partners, have to CC us on all the communication with their with the senior and their family. And the reason we do that is because it allows us to be proactive. And I know this from my corporate relocation days. Our best responses to surveys, testimonials came from a company that I worked for that had that requirement. And what it allowed us to do is, if that mover said, I'm going to call you by 3 o'clock on Friday to tell you what time I'm going to be there Monday morning, now we're aware that they made that commitment, and it's now 2:30 on Friday, and that mover, we haven't heard from that mover. We're on the phone calling that mover. You told Mrs. Smith you'd call her by 3. What time are you going to be there Monday? And so we're getting in front of it to be proactive rather than reactive, by being involved in all that communication. And it's proven to be very successful when managing this process. Like I said, I've seen it in action, and it also creates that team environment. The most important thing we can do too is when we put the movers in place and the realtors and the professional organizers, we bring them to the community, and we actually have the community tour them. Now when they're speaking.
Oh, I see. So they really know and get to know the community in that. Okay, yeah.
And they can reference the community when they're speaking to the senior. They can reference the senior consultant, sales consultants when they're speaking to the senior. They can say, oh my gosh, that pool was beautiful. You've got to be so excited, right? We've created a team around that community now. Everybody working for the same purpose to make that transition go as smooth as possible. And we have found that also to be very successful.
Yeah, well, if it's one of the top stressful things in life, experiences in life, you really want to stack the deck, right, in the positive way, in making this as smooth as possible, right,
Yeah.
for the older adult, the families. I'm stressful on everybody, and I moved my dad in 4.5 years ago. It was a weekend. He flew in from out of town, and he didn't have many worldly goods at all, so it wasn't the issue. But my husband flew where he was and flew him, and it was traumatic. And it was a Sunday, and I got to tell you, nobody knew. There was no one there. No, I mean, there was people there, but nobody was expecting him. No, nothing. I was kind of tracking people down, and it wasn't a not warm experience. It was just not it was like walking into an empty house, right?
Yeah.
Like, hello. And who's, and I know my way around and navigating and asking the right questions, and or at least questions, and then a lot of people don't. But had that been an experience of someone who's not familiar with senior living, I can't imagine. It was like, oh, hi, you're in, and it's you got to be expecting, right? You got to be coordinating.
Yes.
And 7 days a week, we're moving people in. Doesn't matter if it's a Sunday at 3 p.m.
Yep, absolutely. We have an app, the Good Move app. And the Good Move app puts all the relocation information in one place. So the realtors' names and contact information, at a touch of a button, they can call them, they can email them, the moving estimates, any sort of paperwork, it's all in there so that the senior can access it, but also their family. And thirdly, the communities. The communities now have a dashboard to show the move progress, and they can see exactly when things are moving along in the targeted move-in date, right? But we're also there to remind the community, hey, Mr. Smith is going to be there on Monday, the 5th. His move is progressing as expected, and we scheduled the movers, so he'll be there Monday the 5th. So hopefully things like that don't take place, because people are expecting them and preparing for that, right?
Absolutely. Well, Maureen, I would love to continue this conversation. Let's do a part 3 and talk a bit more about do we help families get over emotional humps, are the people that maybe rethink, like you said, they get back home and think, and they change their mind. So let's talk a little bit more about that in our next episode.
Awesome. Thanks, Julia.
Thanks. Good talking with you.
You too. Take care.